You ready?
Hey Jim, it's Thursday.
It's Thursday.
3 weeks from today.
3 weeks from today is what? What did I tell you? 22 days yesterday and you corrected me?
No, he said 22 days, right? You said 22 days, and I said 3 weeks from tomorrow. So in Italian, all right, that's 3 weeks from tomorrow. In Polish, it's 22 days.
Yeah, that's right.
I still haven't figured out the hell you're talking about. But seriously, how's things going in your mind?
In my mind, I think the campaign's going actually very well. You know what, Paul? The impact that we're having, I believe, is one that's going to be felt for quite a while. I believe reaching out to both the public and the small businesses gave us a unique perspective on the needs of the city of Niagara Falls. Some people have criticized us in our campaign for not having all the answers. You know, and other people have thanked us for asking the questions. You know, we had someone here visiting with us, you know, a few days ago, and basically he was in agreement with us that it's more important to ask the questions of the citizens and the businesses in Niagara Falls to find out what direction they want to go.
But that gentleman didn't have any experience. He only was elected 18 times. 18
times, yeah, 18 times. Spent over 30 years in politics. A good thing about him, probably was not well liked by parties because he asked questions.
He reminded me a lot of you.
Did you get that feeling that perhaps he didn't, that he had some go-ins with the party?
Yeah. I don't think it's out of line to mention his name. Mr. Fader is well respected.
Yeah. Mr. Fader came and talked to us, and 82 or 83 now?
God bless him.
God bless him. He's in great shape, and actually, in some way, considering another political campaign. He said that if his health continues, that he feels he still has something to give back to the community and the city of Niagara Falls. He sat with us for over an hour, and I imagine he'll sit with us again. And basically, I listened.
I know every day you're picking up momentum. My sister said, "Mom, Jim's got the bingo vote. We're at bingo the other." So there you go. You got the bingo.
I got the bingo vote. You know, I believe that one of the biggest problems that the opposition has, and I'm going to say it's opposition on either side, is the fact that they believe the same people are going to come out and vote that have always, so we're going to get the same results. You know, we've been harping from the beginning of this campaign that we've spent 60 years or more with the same results.
Right.
That the problems facing the city in 1960 still exist today. You know, the dysfunctional government that we bought into and that the citizens seem to accept is not the norm. You know, I sit back and I think of some things, you know, Paul, I sit back and the other candidates say, and even the existing administration says, get used to it. This is how it's going to be. Things can't be like they were before. You know, and they're wrong. You know, that's an excuse for inaction. That's an excuse for not doing your job. What do they mean by that, Paul? Do they mean that we have to accept the fact that every night when we go to sleep we're going to hear gunshots on the street? Do we have to accept the fact that our corners and our communities gone and that we've sacrificed the community for a city?
We're in a time frame right now, Jim, though everything is said for a purpose. They're trying to dissuade people from voting. You got a guy on the radio who says, "Oh, only 4,000 people are going to vote."
Right.
What's that tell people? Well, my vote's not going to matter.
It's not going to matter.
Right, but that's the opposite of what we're telling people.
No, we're telling them that this, perhaps in any election, not only does your vote count in the general election, but it's of utmost importance in the primary. We need the people to come out in the primary this time, which we know traditionally had a very low turnout. And the reason that the government that we have exists is because of that turnout, Paul. We're faced with choices on both sides right now. On the Democratic side, there's an important choice. Do we want more of the same that we put up with for 8 years on the Democratic side? Or do we want someone that perhaps can make a difference and change on the Democratic side? On the Republican side, it's the same thing. We have 3 candidates vying for the chance to represent them. You know, we have said nothing bad about the other candidates. Okay, I'm not going to downgrade the other candidates.
All right. That from day one.
And that's from day one.
You wouldn't let me attack anybody personally, though I wouldn't.
Paul wouldn't, and Paul wanted to send out an amount of mailers and that we have to do this. We've had people sit right on this couch, sit with us at this table, that told us that we don't know what we're doing, that the only thing that matters is money and empty promises.
Lies. Let's
And basic lies. They're not even empty promises.
You have to lie to the people.
You have to lie to the people.
I've never heard
You have
that
to tell
before.
them. I've never heard that in my life, and this comes from someone from our own party, Paul, or my own party anyways. And I sit back and I look, if this is what we've had, and if this is what we've come to expect, then we're lost. We can't have this anymore. You know, there's no excuse for the city government not to give us safe streets. There's no excuse for the water problems in LaSalle.
No.
You know, these aren't just excuses, Paul. The amount of money we've spent on studies should have been put into the police department. You know, the biggest problem we got in Niagara Falls, we both, me and you, and Bill Bader agreed with us, is public safety.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know, we need it to be safe, not only for our children, but for our parents and grandparents to actually be able to walk the streets. You know, and we've lost that in the city, and all we hear is excuses about why. You know, one of the biggest excuses, and I talk very frequently with the police department. Okay, I have some very close friends that are on the police department, and they believe, even though I imagine they might not say it publicly, is that this administration has failed them. That they have not stood up for our police officers. That the average arrest in the city of Niagara Falls, which might involve an hour or two of paperwork, now involves days of paperwork. And it's because of the fact that he did not believe in his police department or did not take the actions to make his police department accountable. This is ridiculous. He does not stand behind a police officer.
He lost his backbone when he rolled over for the AG's office.
Absolutely.
But more than that, he lost the confidence of his police officers on the street.
Right. And what you have to understand is that he's taken. They're no longer, not, I won't say feared, but they no longer can do their job. He's handcuffing them. They know that a simple arrest could involve 8 hours of paperwork. They know they're going to be questioned to the fact as to whether they're doing good police work. And that's ridiculous. Okay? It's as simple as this. I don't want to say it's not a black, it's not a white thing, it's not an ethnic thing. Okay? But if it is a black male that committed a crime, you have to arrest a black male. I mean, you have to go to where the evidence leads you. If it's a certain amount of families, and he didn't have the backbone to stand behind his police officers, an internal investigation is one thing. Let's come to the truth. We want police officers accountable to the citizens, and they are, but we want that. But to bring in the state, to bring in the federal government, to look over every little decision, to second guess both our police officers, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous from the standpoint. And then, here's something that the people they have to understand. First, if by chance, for some ungodly reason, he's second guessing his police department, the question should be, what did he do to correct it? He brought in the AG's office, which leveraged them against the people, made the people believe they're not doing their job, okay? Handcuffed the police officers to do their job. But then he did nothing to correct it. If the problem was in the police officers, why didn't he bring in the state police or the sheriff's department to take control?
I think it goes back to any effective public official has to delegate. If he didn't have the confidence in his chief, and it predates Chief Del Toro,
yes,
then he shouldn't have been there.
No, he shouldn't have been.
If your chief can't administer and watch the functioning and the integrity of your department, he shouldn't have been there.
No.
You don't throw your men in the street under the bus.
No. You know what? And that's the biggest thing is him taking accountability. He wants to deflect everything off his decisions. And this has been his biggest problem. Between the fact that he does not want to take responsibility for what he's created. Okay? Between the fact that he doesn't want to change people. Okay? You're right, Paul. If in the beginning I delegate a police chief, I give him one instruction. You know what the instructions would be? Give me back my city. Okay? I need my city back. I need it to be safe for the citizens to walk the streets. Now, if that person is not doing that, okay, and I'm going to reach out to the police officers, okay, they're going to find me someone within their organization that's strong enough to give me my city back. And if that person comes to me and says, I need state help, or I need sheriff, I need impact, I'm going to do everything within my power to get him the tools to get our city back. That's the first thing. Economic development. You know, he sits back and tells us about these hotels he's built. He tells us about what it's done. What's that done for Pine Avenue? Do you see any difference on Niagara Street other than people are afraid to walk the streets? Do you see any difference on Pine Avenue? Do you see any difference in LaSalle?
We counted 9 consecutive stores there when you
Yes.
go. Consecutive buildings empty.
Yeah,
On Pine
on
Avenue.
Pine Avenue. Now, not 1, not 2, but 9 in a row. Okay, what's that mean for that neighborhood? It means people have given up in that neighborhood. They don't feel it's safe to shop in that neighborhood. They don't feel that the businesses don't feel that they can make a living in that neighborhood.
All right, now people are going to ask you, okay, Jim, what are you going to do? How are you going to change?
It's very easy, you know, it's very easy to make an excuse. The change has to come not from what I do, but the example I set for the citizens. What we're going to do in our government is to involve the citizens. Where we're saying, and I know everybody says it's going to be an open government, okay? We're going to make the block clubs, we're going to make the business organizations, we're going to make the small businesses around the city feel that they have a stake in their future, feel that their decisions guide the future direction for the city of Niagara Falls. They've stuck it out here so long, Paul. Shouldn't we give something back to them? If you were a motel owner on Niagara Falls Boulevard, and you felt that the city is actually listening to you, you could come and talk to the mayor, you could talk to his administrator, and that perhaps the tourism organization that we're going to organize underneath our administration is comprised of these people, of the small business people, so that what we're actually getting is a true direction. They put their money, they put their lives into the city. Shouldn't they have a stake in the direction we're going? Should it not be controlled by the state? I mean, shouldn't it be controlled by the people that actually live here?
You would hope.
You would hope, you know, and this is the difference. You know, people say, well, what are you going to do with the organizations that exist? They can still exist if the state chooses to fund them.
How do you get beyond, and we're jumping all over the place, but there's so much on the plate right now with 3 weeks to go, but we've experienced a lot of party issues, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, look what's going on. You got a state assemblyman changing party.
Yeah.
You've got people coming from the outside who
Right.
now say they're Republicans. They
Yeah.
never were.
Never were, never Republican.
But yet they're turning it back on you, who you've been a Republican most of your life. Right?
Yes. You know what? It bothers me to a certain point. I have no qualms about changing party, okay, if it's something that has to be done. But what people got to remember is the party's only as good as the people that represent it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the key. There's a ton of good people in the Republican Party. There's a ton of good people in the
It's not about
Democratic
the people.
Party.
You're
It's
right.
not about the people.
No, not at all.
It's about the people that
Pull the strings?
Pull the strings. You know what it is, Paul? It's about control. It's not even sometimes monetary. It's just the party exerting a control over the citizens. What they choose to do is to harass or impede the citizens' ability to choose a candidate fairly. Not just me, Paul. I'll talk for 1 second on me, but I also want to talk about the other candidates too. We were running, first off, the party gave not only the Republican, but the conservative and independent line to a candidate. The people didn't give it to him, the party did. Basically, it was one person in the room said, you got it. Okay? Rather than the independent voters, the conservative voters, they didn't have a chance. They didn't have a choice. They were given that. So in order to open up the line, we said petition signed. We had plenty of petitions signed. Okay, so now we're going to be on the independent line. We actually called the county to make sure there was nothing wrong with our petitions. They assured us everything was correct. We took names, we took times, everything's good. No, nothing's filed. Where do we see it? On Facebook. You know, a political, shall I say political operative, is that being nice to them?
That's pretty fair.
That's pretty fair. Rather, I guess I could say political operative paste on Facebook that my campaign has led to a fatal flaw.
Fatal flaw.
Fatal flaw that's going to cost him a chance on the independent line. Not even the independent line, but a chance. Because it was still only going to be a chance because we had to write in.
Right.
We didn't have the right to be on the ballot, which is something that is ridiculous. Okay? But they still feared the fact that we're on there because they knew we had enough support by independent voters.
Right.
So what they do is, on Facebook we see that a challenge has been filed. We don't hear anything for what, 2 weeks?
Right.
On 2 days before our legal chance to argue it is over, we get a letter in the mail. I didn't even get It wasn't even certified.
No.
I opened the mail. I remember that day you looked like your dog died, because I came in, I said, I got two things to say to you, Paul. I said, you want the good news or the bad news? Well, give me the good news. And I said, come on, I'm going to take you to breakfast. And he says, you know what? Give me the bad news. I said, they threw us off the independent line. Ba-boom goes the table. I no longer want to eat, he says. Now, so...
Well, ladies, Jim, seriously, you just want to play by the rules.
Just the rules.
Well, we reached out to Erie County.
Yes, we did.
And the Commissioner Sion, says to me, Paul, that's not a fatal flaw, because one of your staff inadvertently put your name on an opportunity to ballot petition.
It happens, they say.
It happens.
All the time.
We
don't even look at it.
It's never been, no, they do look at it, Jim. But it's not determined what they call a fatal flaw.
Right.
So I said, well, Jim, we got good news. We thought we had good news because we figured we play by the same rules as Erie County, right?
Right. So $1,000 later. $1,000 later, the legal representation and filing it in the Supreme Court, we get before a judge. We draw an Erie County judge. Paul, they can't beat us. We got an Erie County judge, someone that's not connected to Niagara County politics. We get before the judge. Our attorney argues that this is not considered a fatal flaw in Erie County or Cattaraugus County. The judge says, I'm very familiar with Erie County electoral law, and that absolutely this is not something like that. Okay? Our lawyer brings up, well, laws can't be different between counties, that it's New York State electoral law, and that it has to be the same representation. The judge looks at our attorney and says, well, I guess it's going to be up to the county to prove to us that they have a statute in Niagara County that differs from all the other counties. Correct? And this is quotations right from the judge. I'm not spinning this in any way, shape, or form. I'm sitting in a courtroom. First off, I look, and Jorg, the county attorney, the lead attorney, okay, he's there, not one of his 6 underlings. Sitting next to us are the Laura Allen and every commissioners were there because they had to be there. They're there. But sitting behind us are actually what I would consider just political operatives, 3 of them. One we readily recognized.
The other two?
The other 2 we had no clue. What I said was there's 2 more suits but sitting behind me, basically. So we had 3 suits sitting behind us. Do we want to identify the one suit?
No, I don't think
we have to. No. He used to have stuff to do with the political party, but he no longer does. Right. And probably for 30 years of his life he considered he was the heir apparent to the throne. Unfortunately, that never happened, correct? Never happened. But so people might get an idea of who we're speaking of. But anyways, they're sitting behind us and they're smiling. And I'm sitting there. The judge basically said, I don't think they can prove this. George gets up, opens his little book, looks at the judge, and the judge says, well, what do you have to say? And his answer to the judge is, Judge, I'm not here to argue whether our case has any merit.
Right.
Am I correct in saying that? Exactly what he said. I'm here to say that our decision has to stand because they did not meet the time restraints for the filing. So in court, he admits to a Supreme Court judge that the case had no merit, which to me means it was a frivolous case brought to eliminate us from being on the ballot. Correct?
Exactly.
I mean, I would. To me, that's what that was saying. My case has no. I'm not here to argue whether the case we brought against him has any merit. So $1,000 later, a Supreme Court thing, court hearing, and everything else, he brought a frivolous lawsuit against us. He walks up to the judge. He shows him the statute. The judge looks at us and says, basically, I'm sorry, but according to this, I have no recourse but to allow this decision to stand. Am I correct in what he said?
His hands were tied.
My hands are tied, the judge says.
Because our response was beyond the
limits of the time. Now, we had till Tuesday to file this. Mm-hmm. We received it on Friday, which you think the timing could have been any more perfect. Friday, first we have to get a hold of an attorney. We don't have 3 high-priced attorneys. We're depending on a family attorney or someone to handle it for us. So we had to scramble. We got it filed Tuesday afternoon when we were supposed to, but we could not get the second half of it done till, we were late on the second half of the filing. Second half of the filing to get the court date. So, on a technicality, they threw us off.
And I don't want to use all your time to talk about this, but the thing that sticks in my craw to me is when the commissioner in Erie County said, well, what was the decision in your hearing?
Right.
I said, we had no hearing. She says, what are you talking about?
Yeah, they can't do that.
When he raised the questions about your petitions, what was the result of your hearing? He said, we had no hearing. I said, Mr. Szwedo, on the same day, received mail
Yes.
And they received the determination.
The same day.
day.
I got 2 letters in the mail.
Same
One
day.
saying that they're arguing it, and the second one saying, you're out of luck.
You lose.
You lose, you lose. We decided you lost.
So what do? We get beyond that. We get beyond the politics. You know, you go out and you hear craziness. Now you're sheltered because you know they think you're sane. They think I'm crazy. People don't think. Well, I heard that you and Jimmy are friends with Colangelo. I said, who would have told you that? I said, of course, we've been friends for how long have we been friends with him? Forever.
A long time. We helped him on his campaign.
All right, John Accardo, he's been our friend forever.
Friend forever.
But that doesn't mean you agree politically. That doesn't take away your right to differ. No. And well, Paul Dyson, the mayor, Paul's a decent guy.
Probably is.
But he's a horrendous mayor. He's
a horrendous mayor.
He's taken us down some narrow streets that end up in dead ends.
You know what? In the end, the one thing I need the people to realize is the fact that none of the people running against us are our enemies. A lot of them have been friends. But you're right. We differ only in the way we see the city of Niagara Falls running. We've spent 8 years under Dicer administration, and we strongly disagree with the direction that he's taken the city in. Glenn Shalokian, friend of ours, okay? A lot of things he wants to do, we want to do also. Okay, but we differ on a few important aspects, enough that we feel that we need to go for a representation of the city against him. John Accardo, friend for years. You know, you're not, the one thing you're not going to see, one of the other candidates, okay, someone that doesn't even live here, okay, chose to do an interview with, I think it was Darrow the other day. Mm-hmm. Here's how he described, this is a little bit of a comical standpoint. This is how he described the people running for office against him. He says, who do you think the people should vote for? He says, I'm running against a beer salesman. He says, I'm running against a member of the union, which is part of the problems that Niagara Falls has fallen under. He says, I'm running against a bail bondsman. And the 5th candidate, no one even knows what he does for a living.
What do you do, John?
And people have been asking me that a long time.
I spent 40 years in environmental work.
40 years in environmental work. I've spent 40 years of my life doing the jobs and correcting problems that no one else wanted.
So are you upset that a guy that never even lived here doesn't know what you're doing? Maybe if he lived here.
Maybe if he lived here, he would realize. Perhaps if he lived through Love Canal, Burkholz Creek, Gill Creek remediation, maybe if he lived through some of the projects that we've actually helped the city of Niagara Falls with, some of the contributions that we've made to the city, and not just me, the other candidates that are running. Okay, for as much as we disagree with their political stances and we want to change the city to a better way, we feel is a better way, we can't argue the benefits that they've given to the city during their time. I won't argue the fact that John Accardo spent 8 years on the council. You'll never get me to argue that fact. I will not argue the fact, I'm not going to call him a bail bondsman. He's run a very successful, with his family,
had
a successful business on Pine Avenue. I'm not going to downgrade it and say he's a bail bondsman. What's that? That's supposed to initiate the fact that he's part of the problem because he's bailing these people out? I said, no, that's bullshit. We're not going to say that about him. No. And I'm not going to look at Glenn Shalokian and say he's part of the problem because he's a member of the union.
For his family?
Yeah, because he chooses to stay in Niagara Falls, live here, own a house here. I'm never going to say that. You know, every one of these people have good points to contribute to the city. But I believe what we're doing contributes more only from the standpoint that we want to wrap up whatever good ideas these people have had and encompass them with the community and involve the community and the small businesses in Niagara Falls and come up with a creative solution. But I'm not going to downgrade the fact that these people have lived here their whole lives. They've chosen Niagara Falls as their home. Right. So you won't hear me talking bad about them.
It's offensive when you think about, I mean, the reference to the mayor as a beer. First of all, the mayor has a business, he doesn't sell beer. Yeah. John's family's been an established small business. I know, and people that see your resume and the history, what you know, what kind of work you've done, Glenn works hard, he supports his family, he's involved in everything. This guy comes from the outside, sends you a letter, says, "Oh, by the way, I need 500 votes to win." I don't think he's a math teacher.
I don't believe the difference is going to be 500 votes, and I don't believe he's a math teacher. I believe he's a distraction. A distraction based on the fact that he's put up to run only from the standpoint to distract from what could have been the inevitable results of this election. So that's the only thing. The people got to know that all the candidates except one live here. All the candidates except one contribute to the community.
Worked here.
And have worked here their whole lives. Worked with the Little League. Worked with the community. Worked with the business associations in the city of Niagara Falls. Have chosen this city to live in and to do whatever they can for it. I'm not going to downgrade the fact that for any of them, even Mayor Deister, I'm not going to downgrade it. I'm not going to go after him and say the things he did to the city, okay? Because, we all know this is going to be a difficult job. What I am going to downgrade, the only thing I will downgrade about him is that he could have made it simpler for himself if he would have involved the citizens and businesses of Niagara Falls like we want.
I think, if Jim, as you referred to his show on the radio the other day,
Yeah.
he initiates his campaign based on insulting people. That's something you actually 100% been against.
Yeah. We're challenging his ability to even run based on the city charter. Okay, it says he has to be an elector for 1 year. He had not even joined the party or been able to vote in the city of Niagara Falls until mid-June of this year. Mid-June of this year, which again puts him months and months short of not only the primary, the election, but actually taking office in January.
Right.
Okay, it infuriates me from one standpoint. We invite all political candidates to come down to Gill Creek Park. We want them every week. They're there, from judges to council people. We want them to
mayoral candidates.
Everyone's been there, okay? And we get anywhere from 300 to 500 people there every Wednesday. And I personally invited them all to come there. Please hand out your literature, talk about what you want to do for the city, because I believe in the system. I don't believe in playing the system. I believe that people have a right to choose, and that's where we've stood from the beginning. Okay? What bothers me is people coming up to me afterwards and saying, "You do realize he doesn't even live here?" Or, did I hear him right when he said that he lives half the year in California and half the year in Niagara Falls, but if I give him my vote and he wins the election, he'll choose to live here full time, him and his wife?
That's generous.
That's generous. If we give him an $80,000 job, he'll stay. One person also told me the fact that the reason he's here half the year is he believes he has to watch his interest in the city of Niagara Falls. Okay, so he says, I have investments. I'm a landlord. I rent properties. I make a living off the people of Niagara Falls. Okay, so I have to be there to protect my interest, not the people's interest. Not the people's interest. So it bothers me that people come in. Haven't we had enough done to the citizens and businesses in Niagara Falls by people from outside the city without taking on another one? It's time for the citizens of Niagara Falls. And I'm not even telling you to vote for me. If you want to vote for John Accardo, if you feel he has the best interest, vote for John Accardo. If you want to vote for Glenn Shalokian, that's your choice. If you believe Paul Deister's led us in the right direction, that's your choice. And I'm there only to protect your choice. If you feel we have something to offer to the citizens of Niagara Falls and to the businesses, if you believe that our inclusion policies that we're setting for citizens and businesses are something you want to buy into, you want that to be the future of Niagara Falls, vote for Jim Szwedo. But that's it, Paul. It's as simple as that. I'm not there to argue.
Now you gotta go. You
gotta go.
You gotta go door to door.
Not only am we going door to door, but we've also got a couple things. One thing I will bring up, if you want to hear, real quick, and I know the man behind the camera is giving me that winch like, oh, not again. Okay. Next week, Monday, 6 to 8, at the Polish Nook, we're having a get-together. We want the citizens and businesses of Niagara Falls to come out. We had a good turnout in LaSalle.
Very good.
About 120, 130 people. A lot of fun. It was very good. We got together. We invited them people and everyone else from the city of Niagara Falls to come on down to the Polish Nook, 6 to 8. Let's talk about the problems. Ask me questions and let me hear what direction you feel the city should go in. I guess that's it. We're not going to set the direction. The point we're making, the citizens and businesses of Niagara Falls, for the first time.
So when is that again? Monday?
Monday.
Polish Nook?
Polish Nook, 24th on Monday.
Good Polish food?
Good Polish food.
Some good
Kathy,
Polish food.
a good friend for a million years, okay, is helping us out. She's going to put this on for us at the Polish Nook. Come on down, let's talk about the problems. Let me hear what the direction you want the city to go in. Because that's the direction we want to take the city. We believe the people have the right.
Avoid the distractions. Listen to the people
Listen
who
to
are
the people.
here, born, raised, lived here, know the issues. That's where we gotta go.
That's it. One direction. That's where we've
Get
been
out
from
of
the
here. Go
beginning.
stock. You knock on doors.
Let's go pound on some doors. Let's let the people know.
Thank you.